By the summer of 1985, the investigations spanned hundreds of miles, covering crime scenes from the greater Los Angeles area to the San Francisco Bay Area. Despite its immense geographic scope, the manhunt had reached a point of total paralysis. The randomness of the attacks that terrified the public was the same factor starving the investigation. Without a unifying pattern, detectives had no thread to pull. Law enforcement already possessed a backlog of physical evidence, witness statements, and detailed forensics from over a year of violence. However, physical evidence is only useful if it can be compared against a specific name. Without a suspect, investigators were left with a mountain of data they had no practical way to search. For 14 months, the investigation held every piece of the puzzle, except the technological bridge required to turn anonymous evidence into a single identity. That bridge began to form on August 24, 1985, with the theft of a specific orange Toyota. The vehicle was driven roughly 76 miles south to Mission Viejo in Orange County. On August 28, 1985, the same Toyota was found abandoned. It had been left in the middle of Los Angeles' Koreatown. Inside the car, investigators recovered exactly one usable fingerprint. The suspect hadn't left prints all over the interior. The entire identification rested on a single lift from the rearview mirror. This print was submitted to the California Department of Justice's newly installed Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS. At the time, AFIS was a cutting-edge tool that had only been operational for a matter of months. A manual search of this magnitude would have been effectively impossible, yet the system returned a list of candidates almost immediately. This single print, combined with a machine switched on mere months prior, created the first physical link to a suspect in over a year. This identification was not an inevitability of the technology, but rather the result of a highly specific, arbitrary parameter within the database. When the system was populated, it only included the records of criminals born after January 1, 1960. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960. He fell inside the system's window by a margin of barely 2 months. Because he fell within that narrow window, the print matched a record from a 1984 arrest for auto theft. On August 29, 1985, law enforcement released that 1984 mugshot to the media, finally attaching a name to the Night Stalker. After 14 months of faceless terror, the suspect's photograph was suddenly on every front page in California. The detective's search for a name was over, but a photograph is not an arrest. By making his face public, the investigation was handed over to the only group capable of finding him, the ordinary people who could now recognize him on the street.